Ever walk into a room and just completely blank on why you're there?
Oh, yeah. Happens to me all the time.
Keys? Phone? What was I looking for? It's like our brains just hit the delete button. Today, we're diving deep into why we forget things, especially those thoughts we were just thinking about.
Fascinating stuff, really.
We were pulling from this article, Why Do We Forget Things We Were Just Thinking About? It's packed with insights. We'll cover long-term versus working memory.
Right, and how limited our working memory actually is.
Plus, how our brains are constantly juggling thoughts. Stick with us, and you'll gain a whole new appreciation for how amazing and maybe a little quirky our brains really are.
You know, what's interesting is we often see forgetting as a bad thing.
Definitely.
But the truth is our brains are incredibly complex. They're always deciding what info to keep and what to talk out.
Makes sense, I guess.
Yeah.
To kick things off, the article dives into two main types of memory, long-term and working memory. Can you break those down for us?
Absolutely. Think of long-term memory as this massive library. It's where we store knowledge, experiences, skills, all those memories that span years, even decades. Working memory, though, is way more temporary. Imagine a mental whiteboard.
Okay, I can picture that.
It's where we hold info we're actively using right now, thinking about in the moment.
So like long-term memories are bookshelf and working memories where we jot down notes while we're reading.
Perfect analogy. And just like a whiteboard, working memory has limits.
Oh, I'm sure I've hit those limits many times.
Researchers believe we can only hold on to about 4 to 7 chunks of info in working memory at a time.
Wait, chunks. What's that mean exactly?
Question. A chunk could be one item, like a number or letter, or it could be a group of items that go together. Like when I say FBI, you probably think of it as one thing.
Right, FBI. Yeah.
Even though it's 3 letters, they have meaning when combined, so your brain treats them as a single unit, a chunk.
Interesting. So it's like our working memory is this tiny whiteboard that's constantly needing a good wipe down. If we try to cram too much on there, things are going to get erased.
Precisely. And that erasing, it's actually a good thing.
That's not how we usually think of forgetting.
Right. If our working memory was just crammed with every single thought, we'd be totally overwhelmed. Forgetting helps us focus on what matters now and make space for new information.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But what about when we're trying to hold on to a specific thought and it still slips away?
Well, the brain doesn't really multitask the way we think it does. It's more like it's quickly switching between different thoughts, like a juggler with multiple balls in the air. And the prefrontal cortex is running the show there.
The prefrontal cortex.
It's the part of the brain that handles focus and attention. So if we
Yeah.
get distracted or our focus shifts, it's like dropping one of those juggling balls. Poof, the thought disappears.
And of course, certain things make us drop the ball more easily. Lack of sleep, stress, even alcohol can mess with our working memory.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, as we age, working memory tends to decline. It peaks in our 20s.
So it's all downhill from there.
Well, not entirely. There are techniques to strengthen working memory, almost like training our brains to juggle more efficiently.
Ooh, brain training. I like the sound of that.
One strategy is chunking, which we talked about earlier. Grouping information into meaningful chunks basically increases your working memory capacity.
So like remembering a phone number in groups of digits instead of one long string.
Exactly. Another technique is visualization. If you're trying to remember a list, try picturing those items connected in a really vivid way. It can really help.
So forgetting isn't always a bad thing. It's a crucial process that keeps our brains from overloading. But the good news is, there are ways to improve our ability to remember things when we need to.
Exactly. And it's amazing how understanding memory can help us learn and remember more effectively in all aspects of our lives.
This deep dive has been eye-opening. It really makes you realize how incredibly complex our brains are. So next time you walk into a room and forget why you're there, don't be too hard on yourself.
It happens to the best of us.
Take a second to appreciate your brain's ability to filter information and prioritize what's important. And hey, maybe even give those memory-boosting techniques a try. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.